Today I'm going to show you how to draw this object with a marker like this in a handful of different ways. Let's get into it. So to get things started here, let's see how simply we can draw this pair of scissors. And for this first one, let's go with open like that. Give myself a little more room here. There's my object as a reference. And the thing that I've noticed about scissors being difficult is kind of just getting these lines correct. It's easy to kind of like reverse where the blades and handles go. I'm going to try to give myself enough space to draw this object multiple times. I want to go literally as simple as possible here. Lines and so that I want to do a little experiment to like do it just with lines and no depth at all. I don't know if that's really going to be possible. So that's that one. This one, more like that. I think that can actually work. It always helps to throw in some motion lines. So if I was going for a straight, nothing more than a line drawing of scissors, I would probably go like that. Clear intersection, one branch of the scissors here having a place for your hands, the other noticeably smaller for the thumb there. So I think I'll just practice that one a few more times just to get the hang of it so that I can draw it quickly if need be at some point. One more time in that orientation. Now let's try having the scissors, instead of the opening always being right here, maybe kind of pointed in a different direction. Because within my notes, who knows where precisely I might want these scissors to be or the specific orientation. So maybe if they're kind of pointed upward, like that. The tricky thing is that the second line starts on the same side of the line as the handle. That's where it can be kind of confusing. When you draw that first line with the handle here, you kind of think that the next line should go like that, but to make it actually like a pair of scissors, it's got to be like that. And I even think I'm noticing too that, you know, when the cutting part of the scissors don't extend far enough, it's not quite as recognizable right off the bat as a pair of scissors. So I think something like this or this is better where, let me try that again. The past the handle part of the scissors is much longer than the before the handle part. So having those lines extend far enough, I think, is important. So if you're looking for kind of an iconic, as simple as possible drawing of scissors, then you might give those a try. We can call this the simple line drawing version of this object. Next, let's try one that's a bit more representational. Keep that as a reference in case we want to kind of look back at those line drawings. We've got our reference object again. Here I'm going to more or less draw this as I see it, but I'm kind of going to simplify the handle part because this has a little bit of a curve to it and kind of a particular shape. I'm going to keep it kind of as straight or straighter than this object actually is. So again, starting with the blade and even giving it kind of like a little bit of a shape to it like that. And I know adding in the rotation point is something that I think will be helpful. A little bit of a curvature line. And then I know the next blade will want to go through that same rotation point. So let's try having it like this. Something like that. It's got to go behind the other one to about right there. So I've got the blades there for the handles. We want this one to be something like that. And this one to be kind of smaller, like that. How's that look? Kind of bulky, but I feel like clearly recognizable as scissors, more so than this. So again, we're playing with the kind of level of detail, how realistic this particular object looks. Let's try drawing that one again. Let's pretend that it's kind of cutting right here just to see how that goes. Let's draw that blade first. I wonder if I can draw it even more simply. Get rid of some of the extra lines here. See how that goes. So kind of just having rectangular ends as opposed to anything more complicated. I think that can save some time. And then again with the handles, trying to have one for the thumb and the other bigger for the fingers. Pretty wonky again, but I think I like the way I simplified it with the straight lines here as opposed to a few different lines there. All right, let's try that again, maybe right here. Again, I have to like, it does take some thinking to remember, wait, which way do the curve of the handles go? And they need to go kind of like away from the center point after this intersection. It's probably going to be how I remember it. There we go. Scissors on scissors. And again, anytime you add some motion lines in, helps to communicate what that particular object is doing. And depending on kind of the style of notes that I'm taking, I might go with this versus this. But I think it's good to have kind of like a quick and dirty version of what you want to draw and maybe a more detailed one. Next, let's turn this object into a container. That's not an uncommon thing to do within your notes where you kind of want to merge an object and a word, or maybe an object and a title. So the question then is like how to draw this object, a pair of scissors, big enough so that somewhere inside the object, and you don't have too many options here, so it probably will be within the blades of the scissors, you can write some words. So I think I will try to draw these scissors so that it mostly fills up the page for this example here. I think I'll do the blades in this order. Let's go like this. Oh wow, I did not give myself enough space. Can I fix that? Maybe. This is probably going to look a little funky, but I think it's better than the other. Oh yeah, that's real ugly. Didn't quite get the placement of that intersection point very well. Here's our handle. There's the thumb. Real sloppy with that. Man, that is a goofy looking pair of scissors right there. So let's think of some sort of a phrase or title that might fit here within the blades of these scissors. So here's where we kind of think about the role, the purpose this object serves, and how it might be incorporated into something that you're sketchnoting. Obviously, scissors are something that, you know, they cut paper, they cut things in half into different sections. So there's kind of this dividing role that it serves. Also kind of potentially like trimming around the edges, getting rid of excess. Let's go with that. Let's say cut away the excess. So there's the potential for that to be maybe a relevant and helpful message, depending on what it is that you're talking about. For me, it comes to mind with the topic of essentialism. I think I actually used scissors within one of the ideas when I was creating a visual summary of the book Essentialism. And from there, you can almost imagine if we had more space here, and maybe I'll try this on another sheet of paper, but if we kind of introduce other visuals, other objects into this scene that we're now kind of starting to create. Maybe there's some piece of paper where maybe what's up here, this is the stuff that you're gonna get rid of. And this is the stuff that you want to keep. So this kind of almost turns the scissors into a larger visual metaphor here to capture a set of ideas where, you know, depending on what the conversation is, these are the things that you want to kind of remove from a process, from an organization, from the actions that you take, something like that. And even if you just use some sort of bullet point or icon list, that could be a way to kind of capture things that live in each of these categories. And then you have this kind of large, more prominent visual of the scissors to remind yourself, yes, it's important that we actually do get rid of these things and keep these things. And that actually kind of gets at the four kind of types of drawings that I want to potentially continue exploring. If I turn this How to Draw series, well, this single How to Draw video into a series, which is kind of what I have in mind. I think it's actually fun and interesting to kind of think through each of these levels of depth with a given object that might serve a particular purpose within your sketch notes. These two are fairly similar, just kind of different ways of representing the same object. Here we start to actually look at how to merge together this object with words to really get at kind of the dual coding that makes sketchnoting so powerful. Representing ideas with this combination of words and visuals in a way where each kind of serves a unique purpose, so that I'm not just labeling this scissors. That would be kind of repetitive and redundant. The words here are specifying the specific role that these scissors are playing in this situation. So we saw how to use scissors as a container, and then with kind of this expansion here, showing what exactly we're cutting, an example of kind of turning that from just a container to more of a full-fledged visual metaphor, something more like the iceberg model. And that's kind of what I hope to get at with this series, is covering kind of that whole range of what you might do with a single visual. And I hope that this specific example of how to draw scissors, but then also how to weave scissors into your visual note-taking process, I hope you found that helpful. Such that if you didn't know how to draw scissors at all before this video, now you know how to. But even if you did, maybe you've got some new ideas here about how to weave this object into your note-taking process. Whether you're taking notes just for yourself or maybe facilitating a conversation with others. Keeping everyone on the same page to help achieve the goal of any given meeting or conversation. And if you've got other ideas for maybe how to draw this object, other types of visual metaphors that might work well with scissors, do let us know in a comment down below. Also, let me know what object you might like to see me draw next. If you are newer to sketchnoting and would like some tips for getting started, then check out our free guide, Getting Started with Sketchnoting, which I have linked to down below this video. If you enjoyed this how to draw video, do hit that like button because that will encourage me to make more like it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one. Till then.